Captain G1 stood on the bridge of the last human ship in Valkyrie space. Through the big window, she could see the blue planet below. For 30 years, humans had lived there. They had built cities, farms, and factories. Now, they were leaving. "Everything behind. All ships report ready for jump," said her second officer, Lieutenant Kyung-soo. His voice was quiet. Everyone on the bridge felt sad about leaving. Ji-won nodded. She pressed a button on her chair. "This is Captain Ji-won to all human vessels. We begin the final phase of Operation Quiet Exit. All ships will jump in sequence. Remember, we are not running away. We are choosing a new path." On the planet below, the last group of humans walked toward the transport ships. They carried only small bags. Everything else stayed behind. The Valkyrie people watched them go. Some Valkyrie looked happy. Others looked confused. Most did not care at all. In the Galactic Council building on the planet's surface, Ambassador Minho packed his things. He had spent 5 years trying to make the other species listen to human ideas. They always said the same thing. Humans are too young. Humans are too emotional. Humans do not understand the galaxy. Minho's assistant, a young woman named Yoonji, brought him the last reports. "Sir, the Zordan Empire sent another message. They say humans are weak for leaving. The Nethri High Council says we were never important anyway." Minho smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "Let them think that, Yoonji. Sometimes being underestimated is a gift." The door opened. A tall Valkyrie official walked in. His name was Velthar, and he was the local governor. "Ambassador Minho, I must ask again. Why are your people leaving? We offered you 3 more colonies. We gave you trading rights. What more do you want?" Minho stood up. He was shorter than the Valkyrie, but he looked strong. "Governor, for decades we asked for respect. We asked to be heard. We asked to be treated as equals. You gave us colonies like giving toys to children. You gave us trading rights for goods you did not want. But you never gave us what we really needed." "And what was that?" Velthar asked. "The chance to show you what we really are," Minho said. He picked up his bag. "Thank you for everything, Governor. We will not forget your kindness, but we choose a different path now." Velthar looked confused. "What path? Where will you go? The Outer Rim has nothing. No good planets, no resources, no protection." Minho walked toward the door. "Sometimes the best place to build something new is where no one is watching." He stopped and looked back. "Tell the Council that humanity thanks them for the lessons. We learned much about what we do not want to become." On the human ship called Hope's Edge, scientist Hyemen worked in her secret lab. The room was hidden behind the normal engine room. Only a few people knew it existed. Inside, strange machines hummed with power. Screens showed equations that would make most aliens go crazy trying to understand them. Hyemen's partner, Dr. Jinwoo, watched the final checks. "Are you sure about this?" he asked. "Once we send the signal, there is no going back." Hyemen typed commands into her computer. "We have been preparing for this moment for 200 years, Jinwoo. Every human ship that left Earth carried pieces of this project. Every colony we built was a test. Every time the aliens said we were too weak, we got stronger in secret. The machine in the center of the room began to glow. It looked like a crystal, but it was made of something that did not exist in normal space. Hyemen had spent her whole life learning how to build it. "The quantum beacon is ready," she said. "When I activate it, our friends in the void will know. We are coming." "Friends in the void?" Jinwoo asked. "You make it sound like we already have allies out there." Hyemen smiled. "Not allies, Jinwoo. Family. The humans who left Earth 300 years ago. The ones everyone thinks died in deep space. They did not die. They found something amazing. They found a way to change the rules." Back on the bridge, Captain Ji-won received reports from all human ships. More than 50,000 vessels were ready to leave. They carried 12 million humans. All the humans in this part of the galaxy were going home. "Captain," said Communications Officer Daeho, "the Galactic Council is sending a message. They want to know our destination." Ji-won thought for a moment. "Tell them we are going where we belong." "Where is that, Captain?" Daeho asked. "Everywhere," Ji-won said. On the planet below, the last transport ship lifted off. The Velkari people watched it go. In the markets, they talked about what would happen to the empty human buildings. Some Velkari wanted to move into them. Others wanted to tear them down. Governor Velthar stood in the spaceport. He watched the human ships gather in orbit. He had known many humans over the years. They were strange people. They cried when they were sad, but also when they were happy. They fought wars, but then helped their enemies. They were weak in body, but strong in spirit. "Sir," said his aide, "should we scan their ships? Some of our military wants to know what weapons they have." Velthar shook his head. "No. Let them go, in peace. Humans never caused us real trouble. They just did not fit." In space, the human fleet formed a long line. Each ship was different. Some were military vessels. Others were cargo ships carrying families. A few were science ships with labs and research equipment. Ambassador Minho's ship was near the front. He sat in his cabin and wrote his final report. To Earth. "To the Human Council on Earth," he wrote, "Phase 1 is complete. All humans have left Galactic Council space. The aliens think we are running away. They do not understand that we are going toward something, not away from something. Phase 2 begins now." In her hidden lab, Hyemen put her hand on the activation switch. "Jinwoo, record this moment. Today, humanity stops asking for permission to be great." She pressed the switch. The quantum beacon exploded with light. But this was not normal light. This light moved faster than anything should move. It passed through planets and stars like they were not there. It carried a message written in mathematics that only humans could understand. The message was simple. We are ready. Captain Ji-won felt the ship shake as the beacon activated. On her screens, she saw the space around them change. Colors that had no names appeared and disappeared. The stars looked different, like they were watching. "All ships," she said into Her radio, "Begin jump sequence. We go home now. We go to build something the galaxy has never seen before." The human ships disappeared one by one. They did not use normal hyperspace. They used something else, something that left no trace. On the planet, Governor Velthar watched the last ship vanish. "Strange people," he said to himself. "I hope they find what they are looking for." He did not know that they already had found it. He did not know that humanity was about to change everything. He thought the humans were just another failed species, running away to die in the dark. He was very wrong. In the void between galaxies, something ancient and powerful felt the signal arrive. It had been waiting for so long. Now, finally, its children were coming home. 3 months passed after the humans disappeared. The galaxy felt different, but most aliens could not say why. Trade routes that humans had protected became dangerous again. Pirate attacks increased. Some planets that humans had helped started having problems. Velkari explorer Teshinar flew his small science ship through the outer rim of the galaxy. His job was to map new star systems and look for useful planets. It was boring work, but someone had to do it. The outer rim was mostly empty space with dead stars and floating rocks. Teshinar drank his morning tea and looked at his star charts. According to his maps, this area had nothing interesting. Just old stars that burned out long ago and empty space between them. He was about to turn around and go home when his computer made a strange sound. "Warning," said the computer voice. "New stellar formation detected. Mass and energy readings do not match any known star types." Teshinar spilled his tea. "What? That is impossible. Show me." The main screen lit up with an image that made Teshinar's eyes hurt. Where yesterday there had been empty space, now there was a star system. But this was not like any star system he had ever seen. The star in the center burned with colors that should not exist. Around it, huge structures floated in perfect orbits. "Computer, run full scans. I need to know everything about this system." "Unable to complete scans," the computer replied. "The structures are interfering with our sensors. Some appear to exist in multiple dimensions at once. Others phase in and out of normal space. This is beyond current understanding of physics." Teshinar's hands shook as he sent an emergency message to Velkari Command. "This is Explorer Teshinar. I have found something impossible. Request immediate backup and science teams. These coordinates need investigation right away." While he waited for help, Teshinar tried to study the strange system from a safe distance. The structures were enormous. Some looked like rings that could hold entire planets inside them. Others were like cities that stretched across space itself, and sometimes he could swear he saw shapes that his mind could not understand. Far inside the impossible system, human engineer Tae Hyun worked on a platform that existed in 7 dimensions at once. To him, this felt normal now. He had spent the last 3 months learning how to think in ways that broke the old rules of reality. "Tai Hyun," called his friend Heejin from across the platform. "The next phase is ready for testing. Are you sure the dimensional anchors will hold?" Tae-hyun checked his instruments. These were not like the tools he had used before humans left galactic space. These tools measured things like probability strength, and reality density. They helped humans build things that should not be possible. The anchors are stable, Tae-hyun said. We can start adding the next layer to the ring world. Remember, this is not just about building a place to live. This is about proving that we can. Make the impossible real, Heejin nodded. She activated a device that looked like a cross between a computer and a musical instrument. As she worked, space around them began to change. New matter appeared from nothing. Energy flowed in directions that had no names. What had been empty, space became solid ground. It still amazes me, Heejin said as she worked. 6 months ago, I was fixing air recyclers on a normal space station. Now I am creating matter from pure thought. The learning curve was hard, Tae-hyun agreed. But once you understand that reality is just information, and information can be changed, everything becomes possible. Back in normal space, Teshanar was joined by 5 other Velkari ships. Their commander, Captain Yelsoth, was known for being calm in dangerous situations. But even he looked worried as he studied the readings. "Explorer Teshnar," Yelsoth said, over the radio. "Your report was correct. This system should not exist. Our best scientists cannot explain what we are seeing." "Should we go closer?" Teshanar asked. "Negative. We will observe from here and send probes. If this is some kind of weapon, we do not want to trigger it." The Velkari sent their most advanced probe toward the mysterious system. The probe was designed to survive almost anything and send back detailed information. It made it halfway to the outer edge of the system before something strange happened. "Sir," reported the probe operator, "we are losing contact, but the probe is not being destroyed. It is changing." On their screens, they watched the probe transform. Its metal hull became something that looked like crystal and light. Its simple computer brain became something much more complex. Instead of sending back normal radio signals, it began transmitting mathematics that hurt to look at. "Get that probe back here now," Captain Yelsoth ordered. "I cannot, sir. It is no longer responding to our commands, but it is sending a message." "What kind of message?" The communications officer looked scared. "It says, 'Thank you for the gift. We will return it improved.'" Inside the impossible system, Dr. So-young watched the alien probe's transformation with interest. She was one of the humans who had spent years learning the new sciences that made their current achievements possible. To her, what they had just done was simple. The probe was built using old physics, she explained to her student, a young man named Sang-woo. When it entered our reality field, it had to adapt or break. We helped it adapt. But we changed its entire structure, Sang-woo said. We turned metal into something else entirely. We did not change it, So-young corrected. We showed it new possibilities. Reality is much more flexible than most people think. The aliens build their technology assuming that the laws of physics cannot change. We build our technology to change those laws when we need to. Sang-woo looked at the transformed probe, which now looked more like a living thing than a machine. "What will happen when we send it back?" "They will learn that their assumptions about the universe are wrong," So-young said. "This will frighten them. Fear makes people do stupid things. We need to be ready for their stupid reactions. The transformed probe returned to the Velkari ships, but it was no longer the same device they had sent. It moved in ways that defied gravity. Its signals contained information that made their computers crash. When they tried to bring it aboard, it passed through their ship's hull like the metal was not there. "Sir," the science officer reported, "this probe is operating on principles we do not understand. It appears to be in our space and not in our space at the same time. Our instruments cannot measure it properly." Captain Yelsoth had seen enough. "All ships, retreat to safe distance. Send a message to Velkari Command. Priority 1. We need a full science fleet and military backup. Also send word to the Galactic Council. This involves all of us now." As the Velkari ships pulled back, the probe followed them for a while, then stopped. It transmitted one more message before returning to the impossible system. The message was in perfect Velkari language. "Tell your leaders that the humans send greetings. We have not forgotten our friends. We hope you will understand what we are building. We are making a better universe for everyone." Teshanar recorded everything he had seen. As he flew back toward Velkari space, he tried to understand what had happened. The humans had been gone for only 3 months. How had they built something so advanced so quickly? He did not know that the humans had not built it quickly. They had been preparing for this moment for hundreds of years. Every human who had left Earth had carried knowledge that would help with this project. Every colony the humans had built in galactic space had been a test of their growing abilities. The humans had not been weak. They had been learning. They had not been running away. They had been getting ready to come home. On Earth, in a secret facility buried deep underground, elderly scientist Dr. Bongsu received Teshanar's report through channels that should not have existed. His eyes were old, but they still shone with excitement as he read about the impossible system. "Phase 2 is working perfectly," he said to his assistant, a middle-aged woman named Mick Young. "The outer galaxy humans have successfully activated the first reality anchor. The aliens are responding exactly as we predicted." "Will they attack?" Mick Young asked. "Of course they will," Bongsu said. "They always attack what they do not understand. But this time, their attacks will only make us stronger. Every weapon they fire at us will become a tool we can use. Every ship they send will become part of our growing fleet." Meek Young looked worried. "Doctor, are we sure this is right? We are going to scare them badly." Dr. Bongsu stood up and walked to a window that looked out at the stars. "Meek Young, for 300 years, humans have tried to fit into the galaxy as it is. We followed their rules. We accepted their limitations. We let them treat us like children who did not know better." He turned back to her. "Now we show them what happens when the children grow up and learn to change the rules themselves." Far away in the impossible system, the transformed probe delivered its report to the humans who had changed it. They studied the Velkari reactions with great interest. Everything was going according to plan. Phase 2 had begun. Soon, the galaxy would learn that humanity had not left quietly because they were weak. They had left quietly because they were becoming something much more than anyone had imagined possible. The Galactic Council meeting chamber had never been so full. Representatives from all major species crowded together, their voices creating a noise that hurt the ears. Fear filled the room like smoke. Velkari Council leader Morthek stood at the speaking platform. His usually calm face showed worry lines. "Fellow council members," he began, "what we have discovered changes everything we know about the universe." He activated the holographic display. Images of the impossible human system appeared above the crowd. Even as recordings, they made many aliens feel sick to look at. The structures seemed to move in ways that the mind could not follow. "These images were taken by our best explorer ships," Morthek continued. "The humans have built something that our science says cannot exist. Structures that phase between dimensions, matter that appears from nothing, technology that ignores the basic laws of physics." Zordan War Chief Krondar slammed his massive fist on his seat. "This is clearly a weapon. The humans are preparing to attack us. We must strike first." Murmurs of agreement came from the Zordan section. They were warriors who believed in solving problems with violence. But other species were not so sure. Nethri High Philosopher Yinthara spoke in her ancient, whispering voice. "War Chief Krondar, consider this carefully. If the humans can ignore physics as we know it, what good will our weapons do? We might as well throw rocks at a star." The room fell silent. This was a terrible thought, but it might be true. Deep in space, unknown to the Council, more strange things were happening. The star called Vega had been dying for 1,000,000 years. Now, suddenly, it began to burn brighter. Scientists across the galaxy noticed this but could not explain it. The black hole at the center of the Andros system had been pulling in matter for eons. Now it seemed to be pushing matter away. Ships that had been trapped in its gravity well for decades suddenly found themselves free. In the Spiral Nebula, clouds of gas that had drifted randomly for centuries began forming geometric patterns. From a distance, they looked like vast mathematical equations written across space itself. Admiral Ki-Hyun of the Zordan Fourth Fleet was the first to encounter humans directly since their disappearance. His massive warship, called Death's Edge, was investigating strange energy readings near the planet Corval when his sensors detected an unknown vessel. "Sir," reported his tactical officer, "single ship approaching. Design unknown. It is small, but our sensors cannot get clear readings on its construction or weapons." Admiral Ki-Hyun studied the image on his screen. The human ship looked simple, almost primitive, compared to his mighty dreadnought. It was shaped like a teardrop and seemed to be made of some kind of white metal. "Hail them," Ki-Hyun ordered. The response came immediately. A human woman appeared on the screen. She looked young, with short black hair and bright eyes. "Greetings, Admiral Ki-Hyun. I am Captain Minji of the human vessel Possibility. We meet again under interesting circumstances." Admiral Ki-Hyun was surprised. He had met Captain Minji years ago during peace negotiations. She had been commanding a simple cargo ship then. "Captain Minji, where have your people gone? The Council demands answers." Minji smiled. "We went home, Admiral. We went to learn things that we could not learn while pretending to be weak. Now we return to share what we have discovered." "Share?" Ki-hyun laughed. "Your people build impossible weapons and talk about sharing? Surrender now and the council might show mercy." "Weapons?" Minji looked confused. "Admiral, why do you think we built weapons?" Instead of answering, Admiral Ki-hyun gave the order to attack. "All batteries, fire!" The Death's Edge unleashed enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Plasma cannons, fusion missiles, and gravity bombs all targeted the tiny human ship. The space around possibility filled with deadly energy. When the light faded, the human ship was still there. It had not been damaged. It had not even moved. "Impossible," whispered Ki-hyun's weapons officer. "Nothing could survive that attack." Captain Minji's voice came from the speakers again. "Admiral, you seem upset. Let me show you something that might help." Suddenly, all the weapons fire that the Death's Edge had released began moving backward. The plasma bolts, the missiles, everything reversed direction and headed back toward the Zordon ship. "Evasive action!" Admiral Ki-hyun shouted. But there was nowhere to run. The Death's Edge was hit by its own weapons. Shields failed, armor melted. Explosions rocked the ship from bow to stern. When the attack ended, the mighty dreadnought was crippled, but not destroyed. Emergency lights flickered on damaged systems. Half the crew was injured. Captain Minji's ship moved closer. "Admiral Ki-hyun, your ship is badly damaged. May we help with repairs?" "Help?" Ki-hyun could not believe what he was hearing. "You just destroyed my ship." "Your weapons destroyed your ship," Minji corrected gently. "We simply redirected them. We could have sent them into empty space, but we thought you needed a demonstration of what happens when you attack something you do not understand." The human ship extended some kind of energy field around the Death's Edge. Suddenly, all the damage began to repair itself. Broken metal flowed back together. Burned circuits became new again. In minutes, the dreadnought was in perfect condition. "How?" Admiral Ki-hyun asked weakly. "Reality is information, Admiral. Damage is just information that says something is broken. We change that information to say it is fixed instead." On the Death's Edge, every Zordon warrior stared at their perfectly repaired ship. Their most advanced technology could not do what the humans had just done with ease. Commander Neon stood in the control center of the reality anchor called Hope Station. Around her, dozens of human technicians worked with instruments that would have been magic to most aliens. She watched the encounter between Captain Minji and Admiral Ki-hyun on her screens. "Phase 3 is proceeding well," she reported to her superiors. "The aliens are beginning to understand that conventional warfare is useless against us." Her second-in-command, Colonel Johan, looked worried. "Commander, are we sure this is the right approach? We are terrifying them." "They need to be frightened," Naeun replied. "Fear will make them stop thinking like conquerors and start thinking like beings who want to survive. Only then will they be ready to listen to what we really want to offer them." Dr. Junho, the project's chief scientist, entered the control room carrying data tablets. "Commander, I have the latest reports from our reality anchors across the galaxy." The modifications we are making to stellar phenomena are proceeding on schedule." "Modifications?" Colonel Johann asked. "We are fixing things," Dr. Junho explained. "Dying stars, unstable black holes, dangerous asteroid fields. For months, we have been quietly making the galaxy a safer place. The aliens think we are preparing for war, but we are actually preventing disasters." Commander Naon nodded. "Show him the Korval system report." Dr. Junho activated a holographic display. The planet Korval was going to be hit by a massive solar flare next month. The flare would have killed all life on the planet. We adjusted the local star's magnetic field to redirect the flare into empty space. "The Korvali do not know this?" Colonel Johann asked. "They will never know," Dr. Junho said. "To them it will seem like they got lucky. Their star simply behaved better than expected." Colonel Johann was quiet for a moment. "How many disasters have we prevented?" "In the last 3 months, about 3,000, Dr. Junho replied. "Asteroid impacts, solar flares, gravitational anomalies, cosmic radiation bursts. We have saved approximately 50 billion alien lives, and none of them know we did it." Back on the death's edge, Admiral Ki-hyun tried to understand what had happened to his ship. His engineers reported that every system was not just repaired but improved. The engines were more efficient. The weapons were more accurate. Even the food in the galley tasted better. "Captain Minji," he said into his communicator, "what do you want from us?" "We want you to understand that the universe does not have to be a dangerous place," Minji replied. "We want you to know that scarcity and suffering are choices, not natural laws. We want you to see that there is enough space, enough energy, enough matter for everyone to live well. And if we do not believe you, then you will continue to live in the universe you have always known. We will not force you to change. But we will also not let you stop others from choosing something better." Admiral Ki-yun looked at his perfectly repaired ship. He thought about the power that could turn weapons back on attackers and fix damage with a thought. "What if we attack you again?" "Then we will defend ourselves," Minji said simply. "But Admiral, why would you attack people who are trying to help you?" The question hung in space between the two ships. Admiral Ki-hyun had no good answer. On a dozen worlds, Galactic Council scientists studied the strange phenomena appearing across the galaxy. They found the same thing everywhere: impossible events that helped instead of harmed. Stars that should have exploded became stable. Planets that should have frozen became warm. Moons that should have crashed into their planets found new, safe orbits. It was as if the universe itself was being repaired by invisible hands. In the council chamber, the debate continued. Some species wanted war. Others wanted to negotiate. A few wise voices suggested that maybe the humans were not the enemy, after all. But fear is louder than wisdom, and the council voted to send a battle fleet to the human system. Engineer Dongwu floated in space without a suit, breathing vacuum as if it were air. Around him, a dying red giant star pulsed with angry light. This star had been sick for 1,000,000 years, throwing deadly radiation across 3 solar systems. Today, Dongwu was going to cure it. "Reality anchor established," he said into his communicator. Beginning stellar rehabilitation sequence. His team watched from their ships, safely distant from the star's harmful energy. To them, Dongwu looked like a tiny figure dancing in the flames of a cosmic furnace. But he was not dancing. He was working with tools that could rewrite the fundamental forces of nature. Dongwu reached out with his mind and touched the star's core. He felt its pain, its instability, its desperate struggle to keep burning. Then he began to change it. Atom by atom, he corrected the nuclear reactions that had gone wrong. He balanced the forces that held the star together. He turned chaos into harmony. The red giant's angry light became warm and steady. The radiation that had poisoned 3 worlds for ages simply stopped. In its place came gentle energy that would help planets flourish for billions of years. Stellar rehabilitation complete, Dongwu reported. The Altair system is now safe for all forms of life. On the planets below, millions of aliens looked up at their star in wonder. They did not know that a human had just saved their worlds. They thought their star had simply decided to behave better. Not all humans agreed with this approach. On the reality anchor called New Harmony Station, a woman named Sulgi stood before a crowd of her fellow humans. Her voice was angry, and her eyes burned with passion. "We are doing exactly what the aliens did to us," she shouted. "We are making decisions for other people without asking them. We are treating them like children who cannot take care of themselves." The crowd murmured and shifted. Many of them had started to feel uncomfortable about their growing power. It was easy to help others when you could reshape reality. But was it right to help without permission? "Selgi raises important questions," said Dr. Yunho, one of the project's philosophers. "But consider this. If you saw a child about to walk into traffic, would you ask permission before pulling them to safety?" "That is different," Sulgi replied. "A child cannot understand the danger. These are entire civilizations. They have the right to make their own choices, even if those choices lead to suffering." Engineer Jae-won, who had worked with Dongwu on many stellar repairs, stood up. "So we should let the Altair system burn? We should watch billions die from radiation poisoning because asking for permission would take too long?" "We should tell them what we are doing," Sulgi insisted. "We should explain our abilities and let them choose whether they want our help." The debate continued for hours. It was not the first such argument among the humans, and it would not be the last. For all their new power, they were still human. They still struggled with questions of right and wrong. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council's war fleet approached the human system. Admiral Krondar commanded from his flagship, a massive vessel called Void Crusher. Behind him flew 300 of the galaxy's most powerful warships. "All ships, report status," Krondar ordered. "Weapons charged and ready," came the responses. "Shields at maximum. All systems operational." Krondar studied the impossible human structures ahead. They looked fragile, like soap bubbles floating in space. But he remembered Admiral Ki-hyun's report about weapons that turned back on attackers. He would not underestimate the humans again. "Target the smallest structure first," he commanded. "Full bombardment. If these humans can redirect our weapons, let us see how many they can handle at once." 300 ships opened fire simultaneously. The space between the fleet and the human structures filled with more destructive energy than most solar systems produced in a year. The attack was so intense that nearby planets felt the gravitational effects. When the light faded, the human structures remained untouched. Not one beam, not one missile had reached them. Instead, all that energy was floating in space around the human system, held in perfect spheres of contained power. Impossible, Krondar whispered. A human voice spoke from his ship's communications system. Admiral Krondar, I am Commander Neon of the Human Defense Grid. Thank you for the gift of energy. We will put it to good use. As they watched, the humans began to shape the captured energy. Some became new stars to light empty systems. Others became gravity wells to stabilize dangerous asteroid fields. The weapons meant to destroy became tools to create and protect. You turned our weapons into... Krondar could not finish the sentence. Into what the universe needs, Commander Neon replied. Admiral, why do you come here with violence? We have done nothing to harm your people. You threaten the natural order. Krondar shouted. You break the laws that govern reality. This cannot be allowed. The laws of physics are not laws, Admiral. They are suggestions. And we have learned to make better suggestions. On New Harmony Station, Sulgi watched the battle with growing alarm. Do you see? She said to her followers. We are not just helping others anymore. We are playing God. We take their weapons and decide what to do with them. We fix their stars without asking. We prevent their disasters without their knowledge. How is this different from conquest? Jaewon tried to argue. We are saving lives, Sulgi. How can that be wrong? Because we are taking away their choice to save themselves, Seulgi replied. Every time we fix something, we rob them of the chance to grow stronger. Every time we prevent a disaster, we keep them from learning how to prevent it themselves. The argument was interrupted by an emergency broadcast from Commander Neon. All stations, prepare for Phase 4 implementation. The Galactic Council has forced our hand. We must reveal the full scope of our capabilities. Sulgi felt cold fear in her stomach. Phase 4 was the plan to take temporary control of all matter and energy in the galaxy. It was meant to be a last resort, used only if the aliens threatened to destroy themselves and others. We are not ready for this, she said to her followers. Phase 4 will make us the rulers of everything. Once we take that power, will we ever give it back? Meanwhile, Admiral Krondar regrouped his fleet. All ships, retreat to minimum safe distance. Contact the Council. Request immediate reinforcements. Tell them the humans are more dangerous than we imagined. But as his ships tried to retreat, they found their engines would not respond. They were not being held by any force they could detect. They simply could not move away from the human system. Admiral, his chief engineer reported, our engines are working perfectly, but space itself seems to be sticky. We are moving, but we are not going anywhere. Commander Neon's voice returned to their communications. Admiral, we cannot let you leave until you understand what we are trying to accomplish. Please, watch and learn. The humans activated something they called the Galaxy View Protocol. Suddenly, every ship in Krondar's fleet could see the entire galaxy at once. They could see every star, every planet, every living world. But they could also see the problems. They saw stars about to explode and kill billions. They saw asteroids heading for populated worlds. They saw black holes growing unstable. They saw the 1,000 natural disasters that would happen in the next year alone. This is what we see every day, Commander Neon explained. This is why we cannot simply sit and do nothing. Every moment we delay somewhere in the galaxy, people die from things we could easily prevent. Admiral Krondar stared at the galactic display. He saw his own home system, where a solar flare was building that would sterilize 2 colonies next month. He had not known about it. His government had not known about it. But the humans knew, and they could stop it. You can save them? He asked quietly. We already have, Commander Neon replied. Look again. The solar flare was gone. The human had fixed it while they were talking. 2 billion Zordan lives had been saved by beings they had come here to destroy. On distant Velkari Prime, Governor Velthar received reports from across Velkari space. Strange improvements were happening everywhere. Dangerous weather patterns were becoming mild. Asteroid mining operations that should have failed were succeeding beyond all hopes. It was as if the universe was becoming more friendly to Velkari interests. His science advisor, Dr. Yelnoth, brought him the analysis. Governor, these improvements are not natural. Someone with incredible power is helping us. The only species with this kind of ability would be the humans, Velthar finished. The people we dismissed as unimportant are secretly protecting us. Back in the human system, the debate between Sulgi and the project leadership reached a crisis point. We have to stop Phase 4, Sulgi insisted. If we take control of the entire galaxy, even temporarily, we will change everything. We will become the thing we always hated. The species that decides what is best for everyone else. Commander Nayon looked tired. Sulgi, what choice do we have? The Council fleets are coming. If they attack our reality anchors, the damage could tear. Holes in space itself. Billions will die. Then we tell them the truth, Sulgi shouted. We show them what we can do and let them choose. We tried that with Admiral Krondar. He chose to attack because he was afraid, because we did not explain properly, because we acted like mysterious gods instead of people who want to help. The argument was interrupted by urgent alarms. Wu Jin stood in the heart of the existence protocol, surrounded by machines that could reshape the fabric of reality itself. He was the architect of humanity's greatest achievement, but his face showed only sadness. In 5 minutes, he would activate systems that would make humans the temporary gods of the galaxy. Are you ready, Dr. Wu Jin? Asked his assistant, Dr. Che Young. Wu Jin looked at the activation controls. For 30 years, he had dreamed of this moment. Now that it was, here he felt only doubt. Che Young, what if Sulgi is right? What if we are about to become the very thing we fought against? Sir, the alien fleets are approaching. If we do not act, They will attack our reality anchors. The damage could tear holes in space-time itself. Wu Jin nodded. He knew the dangers. When normal weapons hit reality-manipulating technology, the results were unpredictable. Entire solar systems could be erased from existence. "Begin the final sequence," he said quietly. Across the galaxy, human reality anchors hummed with increasing power. On each station, technicians prepared for the moment when humanity would temporarily control all matter and energy in the known universe. Meanwhile, Sulgi and her followers had taken control of 3 reality anchors. They called themselves the Free Choice Coalition, and they refused to participate in Phase 4. "Listen to me," Sulgi broadcast to all human stations. "We are about to cross a line we can never uncross. Once we take total control, even for a moment, we will change our relationship with every other species forever. They will never see us as equals again. They will only see us as the beings who could unmake them with a thought." Her words reached many humans who had been feeling the same doubts. Engineer Jawan, who had once supported the project completely, now found himself questioning everything. "Sulgi," he said over the communication channel, "what do you suggest we do instead? Let the aliens destroy our work and kill millions. In the process, we tell them the truth," Sulgi replied. "All of it. We show them exactly what we can do and why we have been doing it. We let them choose their own future with full knowledge." In the command center of the main reality anchor, Dr. Hyaman monitored the approaching alien fleets. 47 separate armadas were converging on human positions. Some came to fight, others came to negotiate, but all came in fear. "Dr. Wu Jin," she reported, "the Zordan Grand Fleet will reach firing range in 3 minutes. The Velkari Exploration Corps is requesting permission to approach peacefully. The Nethri High Council has sent philosophers instead of warriors." "And the others?" Wu Jin asked. 15 fleets are definitely hostile. 22 are uncertain. 10 are clearly coming to talk." Wu Jin made his decision. "Cancel Phase 4. The command center fell silent. "Sir?" Dr. Cheung asked. "Cancel it," Wu Jin repeated. "Sulgi is right. We cannot save the galaxy by becoming its masters. Open communication channels to all approaching fleets. It is time for the truth." Across human space, the message went out. Phase 4 was canceled. Instead, humanity would reveal everything to the alien species and let them choose their own path forward. The first human to speak was Ambassador Minho, the same man who had delivered humanity's farewell message months earlier. His face appeared on the communication screens of every approaching ship. "People of the galaxy," he began, "I am Ambassador Minho of the Human Federation. 6 months ago, we left your space quietly. We told you we were choosing a different path. Today, we want to show you what that path has become. The transmission shifted to show the human reality anchors in their full glory. Structures that existed in multiple dimensions. Stations that could reshape matter with thought. Technology that treated the laws of physics as guidelines rather than absolute rules. We developed this technology not to conquer but to help," Minho continued. "For the past 3 months, we have been secretly preventing disasters across the galaxy. We have saved billions of lives. We have stabilized dying stars, redirected dangerous asteroids, and prevented cosmic catastrophes. He paused to let this information sink in. We did this without asking your permission. We did this without telling you. We thought we were helping, but we now realize we were wrong. On the Zordan flagship, Admiral Krondar listened with growing amazement. They have been protecting us? His science officer pulled up data from across Zordan space. Sir, there have been 17 major improvements to our systems in the past 3 months. Solar optimization, asteroid deflection, radiation shielding. We thought it was just good luck. Ambassador Minho's transmission continued. We want to offer you a choice. We can teach you how to develop this technology yourselves. We can share the knowledge that allows us to reshape reality. But it comes with a price. What price? Admiral Krondar asked aloud, though he knew Minho could not hear him. The price is change, Minho answered, as if he had heard. Learning. To manipulate reality requires thinking in new ways. It requires accepting that the universe is far stranger and more wonderful than most species believe. Some minds cannot make this transition. For them, the attempt would mean madness or death. On Velkari Prime, Governor Velthar watched the transmission with his entire government. Could we really learn to do what the humans do? His chief scientist, Dr. Yelnoth, looked excited but scared. Governor, if what they claim is true, this would revolutionize everything. We could solve every problem we have ever faced. But the risks... What risks? Velthar asked. If the human process changes how we think, we might not be Velkari anymore when it is finished. This was the heart of the dilemma. The humans offered godlike power, but becoming gods meant changing into something else entirely. Meanwhile, in the space between realities, Sulgi met with Dr. Wu Jin for a final debate. They stood on a platform that existed outside normal space-time, where thoughts became visible and emotions took physical form. You still think we should control everything, Sulgi said. Around her, her doubts and fears manifested as dark clouds. I think we should prevent suffering, Wu Jin replied. His certainty created walls of solid light around him. If we can stop wars, prevent plagues, and eliminate scarcity, why should we not do so? Because growth comes from struggle, Sulgi argued. Her passion created flames that danced between them. Because wisdom comes from making mistakes. Because strength comes from overcoming challenges. If we remove all danger, all difficulty, all choice, we turn the entire galaxy into a nursery for children who never grow up. Wu Jin's light walls flickered. But children die in the real world, Sulgi. They die from diseases we could cure, disasters we could prevent, wars we could stop. How many deaths are acceptable for the sake of growth? I do not know, Sulgi admitted. But I know that the right to choose must include the right to choose badly, even the right to choose death over safety. Their debate continued in space, where thoughts had substance and ideas could battle physically. Around them, reality shifted and changed based on their emotions. This was the power humanity had gained, and the burden they now carried. Back in normal space, the alien fleets had to make their choice. Admiral Krondar spoke for the Zordan Empire. We accept your offer to learn, but we want guarantees that you will not use your power against us if we refuse. We cannot guarantee that, Ambassador Minho replied honestly. If you choose to attack innocent people, we will stop you. If you choose to destroy worlds, we will prevent it. But if you choose to live peacefully and solve your own problems, we will not interfere. The Velkari response came from Governor Velthar. We want to send volunteers to learn your methods, but we will not risk our entire species on an untested process. That is wise, Minho agreed. We recommend starting with small groups. Those who succeed can teach others. Those who fail, we will try to help them recover. The Nethri High Council sent their most thoughtful response. We will study your offer for the next century. When we have considered all implications, we will give you our answer. But not all species were interested in cooperation. War Chief Krondar's second-in-command, General Vorthak, led a faction that wanted to destroy the humans before they became too powerful. This is our only chance, he broadcast to hardline elements across the galaxy. If we do not act now, the humans will become unstoppable. We must destroy their reality anchors before they can teach others. Several radical fleets broke away from the main groups and headed directly for human installations. They were determined to solve the human problem with conventional warfare. The humans detected the approaching hostile forces but did not activate their defensive systems. Instead, they sent a final message to the attackers. It was Captain Jiwan, the woman who had led the original Exodus, who spoke to them. We know you are coming to destroy us. We could stop you easily. We could turn your ships to dust or your weapons to flowers. But we will not. The attackers were confused. Why not? General Vorthak demanded. Because you need to see what happens when old thinking meets new reality, Captain Jiwan replied. You need to understand that the age of conquest and domination is ending. Fire your weapons. See what happens when you attack something that exists, beyond your understanding of possible. The hostile fleets opened fire on the nearest human reality anchor. Their weapons were the most powerful in the galaxy, capable of cracking planets and igniting stars. Captain Jiwan stood on the observation deck of New Genesis Station, watching the first joint construction project between humans and aliens. A year had passed since the Great Revelation, and the galaxy was slowly changing in ways no one had expected. Below, her Velkari engineer Yirasen worked alongside human technician Tae-hyun to build something that had never existed before, a reality anchor powered by two different species working together. The device hummed with energy that seemed more stable and creative than anything humans had built alone. It is remarkable, said Yirasen, her blue skin glowing with excitement. When I think in Velkari mathematical concepts and you think in human intuitive patterns, the reality manipulation becomes more real, more permanent. Tae-hyun nodded, wiping sweat from his forehead. Dr. So-young predicted this. She said that different minds working together would create reality changes that no single species could achieve. The process of teaching aliens to manipulate reality had been difficult and dangerous. Of the first 1,000 volunteers from various species, only 300 had successfully made the mental transition. The others had experienced everything from mild confusion to complete mental breakdown. But those who succeeded had become something amazing. They were still recognizably themselves, still Velkari or Zordon or Nethri. But they could now do things that had once been impossible. They could heal injuries with a thought, create matter from energy, and even bend space to travel instantly between distant worlds. Ambassador Minho had returned to his old role, but now he worked with a council of beings from 12 different species. They called themselves the Reality Shapers, and their job was to decide how the new powers should be used across the galaxy. The request from the Andros system is interesting, Minho said during their daily meeting. They want us to help them move their entire civilization to a new star before theirs goes supernova. Nethri philosopher Morthek, whose ancient mind had adapted to reality manipulation better than anyone expected, considered the request carefully. Moving 12 billion beings across interstellar space would have been impossible under the old physics. Now it is merely difficult. I say we help them. But Zordon Representative Kexthor disagreed. We should not interfere in natural stellar evolution. If their star is dying, perhaps they should learn to accept death as part of existence. The debate continued for hours, as such debates always did. The power to reshape reality came with the responsibility to decide when such power should be used. It was a burden that grew heavier each day. Meanwhile, on Earth, Solgi had established a monitoring station to watch for abuse of the new technologies. Her free choice coalition had evolved into something like a cosmic ethics committee, making sure that no one used reality manipulation to impose their will on others. "We have a problem," reported her assistant, Jaewon, who had left the main project to join her cause. 3 human reality shapers have been secretly altering the minds of criminals to make them more peaceful. They say they are preventing crime. Seulgi felt cold anger in her chest. That is exactly what we feared would happen. When you can change anything, it becomes tempting to change everything, including people. She opened a communication channel to the offending humans. Dr. Kyungmin, you and your team will stop the mind alterations immediately. Dr. Kyungmin's face appeared on the screen. He looked genuinely confused. Seulgi, we are making violent people peaceful. We are eliminating crime. How is this wrong? Because you are changing people without their permission, Seulgi replied. You are deciding what they should think and feel. That makes you no different from the worst tyrants in galactic history. But we are making them better. You are making them what you think is better. What gives you the right to decide what another person should be? The argument that followed was broadcast across human space. It highlighted the central tension of their new abilities. With infinite power came infinite temptation to use it. In the end, Dr. Kyungmin and his team agreed to stop the mind alterations, but they were not happy about it. We could eliminate all mental illness, all criminal tendencies, all sources of unhappiness, he said. Instead, we choose to let people suffer because of philosophical principles. Yes, Seulgi replied. We choose to let people be human, with all the pain and joy that brings. Dr. Wu Jin, the architect of the original project, had spent the year developing new safeguards against the abuse of reality manipulation. Working with alien scientists like Velkari researcher Dr. Yel Noth, he created systems that required multiple species to agree before major reality changes could be made. No single being should have the power to reshape existence, he explained to a gathering of new reality shapers. That is why we have built these consensus protocols. Want to create a new star? You need approval from at least 3 species. Want to alter the laws of physics in a region? You need a full council vote. The system was not perfect, but it prevented any one person or species from becoming a cosmic dictator. However, not everyone was happy with the new order. On the edges of the galaxy, several species had rejected all contact with the reality shapers. They wanted nothing to do with the new powers and wished to live according to the old physics. "Let them," said Captain Minji during a council meeting. "We established these technologies to increase choice, not eliminate it. If some species want to live in the old universe, that is their right. But maintaining separate regions with different physical laws was incredibly complex. It required constant monitoring and adjustment to prevent the boundaries from shifting unexpectedly. The work fell largely to human engineer Dong Wu, who had become something like a cosmic maintenance worker. He spent his days flying between reality zones, making sure that areas with old physics did not accidentally intrude into areas with new physics. "It is strange work," he said to his partner, Dr. Heejin, as they repaired a boundary malfunction near the Rigel system. "We have the power to remake the universe, and I spend most of my time making sure nothing changes in places where people do not want change. Someone has to protect the right to refuse progress," Heejin replied, "even if we think they are making a mistake." The most successful integration had happened with the Nethri, whose ancient philosophical traditions had prepared them well for thinking about reality as something fluid and changeable. Within months of learning human techniques, they had developed their own improvements to the technology. Nethri philosopher-scientist Yinthara had become one of the most respected reality shapers in the galaxy. Her innovations had made it possible to create pocket universes where different species could experiment with entirely new forms of existence. "Reality is not one thing," she explained to a gathering of students from 15 different species. "Reality is a conversation between mind and matter, between what is and what could be. The more minds that join the conversation, the richer reality becomes." Her students included humans, Velkari, Zordan, and several species that had never been able to work together before. They were creating art forms that used the fundamental forces of nature as their medium, composing symphonies that played out across entire solar systems. But perhaps the most important development was happening in the deep space laboratories, where Dr. So-Young worked with her international team. They had discovered that the reality manipulation technology was just the beginning. "We are detecting signals from beyond our galaxy," she reported to the Reality Shaper Council. "Patterns in cosmic background radiation that suggest other civilizations have developed similar technologies. We are not alone in learning to reshape existence." The implications were staggering. If other galaxies contained reality shapers, then, eventually, they would meet. What would happen when two groups with godlike powers encountered each other? "We should send a signal back," suggested Minho. "Let them know we exist and that we come in peace." "Agreed," said Captain Jiwon. "But this time we do not go alone. This time, all willing species participate in first contact. The construction of the intergalactic communication array became the largest joint project in galactic history. Humans provided the reality manipulation framework. Velkari contributed their mathematical precision. Zordon offered their engineering expertise. Nethri added philosophical guidance. Dozens of smaller species contributed their own unique insights. When the array was finally activated, the signal it sent contained not just a message, but a piece of the galaxy itself, a small sample of the reality the combined species had learned to create together. Months later, a response came back. It was beautiful beyond description, a signal that carried within it the essence of another galaxy's approach to reality manipulation. Their techniques were different but compatible, suggesting that consciousness and creativity were truly universal forces. Standing in the control room of the communication array, Ambassador Minho felt the same excitement he had experienced years earlier when humanity first left galactic space. But this time, he was not alone. Representatives from dozens of species stood beside him, all united in wonder at the vast possibilities that lay ahead. "This is just the beginning," he said to the assembled beings. "We have learned to reshape our own galaxy. Now we begin to learn what the universe itself might become when all conscious beings work together.